call this ONWASA Board of Directors meeting to order for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd stand and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask Pastor Larry Young of Christ Pure Holiness Church to offer our invocation.
Let us bow our heads. Father God, we thank you how you brought us here today by your loving kindness. Lord, we thank you for our life, our health, and our strength. Thank you for us gathering here on today, Lord. And we ask that you bless our thoughts and bless the decisions. And we ask, Lord God, that your peace abide in this room on today. We ask this in Jesus' name. Let everybody say amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
So we ask all in attendance to turn off your cell phones or turn them to vibrate. And if individuals making presentations or public comments are asked to adjust the microphones as necessary and speak directly into the microphone. You may not have to do that now that we got these new fancy microphones. But this meeting is being recorded, and I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
In a second.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request that we pull the partnership, economic development partnership option from consent and make it item D under business.
Okay. Can we approve the agenda first?
Yeah, I think you do that
All in
first.
favor of the agenda?
And then you ask to modify it, right?
Well, then we're going to pull the consent, then we're going to approve the consent agenda.
Right.
Yeah. So, can we get a vote to approve the agenda?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then the consent agenda as amended.
Make that
He
motion.
makes a motion to amend.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. And let's see. This our first item of business is to go into closed session. Don't like to do that first thing, but we'll try to make it short so y'all don't have to wait too long. All right, let's go. Okay, we're back in open session, and the first item of business is 4A, multi-user billing update. And that is Mr. Frankie.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. And just wanted to update the board since our last workshop. I've shared some different scenarios with the board on what we're dealing with this particular situation with multi-user billing. And unless the board objects, what the staff is going to be recommending is that we change the rate and fee schedule during the budget process to do away with the per unit billing language related to multi-users. So that would put everybody on the same billing, which would be one base fee for their size meter, and then they would be subject to the volumetric tiers that are on our rate and fee schedule going forward. And so everybody's paying based on their usage. So unless there's an objection, that's how we will present the budget. Any thoughts?
Thank you. We've, all of us have put great consideration into this and have worked hard at it. And I think that is, we all agree that the billing people by volume is the most fair and accurate way to bill these accounts, and it probably should have been the way it was done from the beginning. But yeah, there's just I was telling somebody about a trailer park that called an owner of a trailer called me a few years ago. It's been a couple of years ago, and they had a trailer, and the ground in the trailer park was so saturated with water that the trailers, the floor in the trailer was buckling. And I went out there, and one of the trailers had water just spraying, a vacant trailer, just had water spraying out of it. And I noticed in the list that you guys have that that trailer park is using 800,000 gallons of water a month. 800,000 or 900,000 gallons of water a month. And I tried back then to contact the owners because people were complaining about it. I couldn't even find them. As I understand it, they're in Florida somewhere. So they had no concern over how much water they were wasting because we weren't charging them enough. We should have been charging them for 800,000 gallons of water. But, yeah, I hope that's going to help you guys. It's not going to make everybody pay less. I'm afraid some people who use a lot of water are still going to pay a little bit more. But I don't think it'll have the impact that the meter charge would have on our customers. So I really appreciate all the input that we've had from you guys. I know you've helped us to find a more equitable, hopefully, solution for this issue. So thank you. Moving on to item B, capital projects update, and I believe you got that one too.
Yep. Mr. Lure wasn't able to join us this evening, so I am going to go through that, and I think I've got some slides. Let's see here. All right. So here's some slides that the engineering department helped put together just to go through kind of some of these projects. Northwest Regional Water Reclamation Facility. That's our sewer plant that took over the Richlands area. As we've been talking about this over the last couple of years since I've been here, it flooded during Hurricane Florence, and we've been working on a project since then to make some repairs and to make some improvements. So what you're looking at here on this slide is a flood-proof building that is over the digesters of that plant, and there's a floodgate that'll slide in front of that roll-up door there, and there's additional floodgates that will go in front of the man door to the right. So we had our final walkthrough with this project, and so we're excited that that project is coming to a close. Got some more pictures here to show of. This is another shot of the digester building. This is the SBR building. So it's covering up some critical components that were out in the weather and exposed to the elements, and not only the elements, but the flood waters during Florence. Another shot of the SBR building with the gate open. Then we elevated some critical control equipment. This is our effluent pumps controls at the back of the plant. Another angle of that. And then this was the new electrical building that is elevated, and to the right of that is our generator, so that is elevated as well. And another angle of that building. So that's that. Any questions on the Northwest project before I move to the North Topsail project?
We're going to have to
not-
schedule a field trip.
Yeah, that's my plan, is to do a tour of the board, because it's pretty impressive, some of the things we did out there. So we're excited about that being an example on how others can flood-proof structures that are in flood zone. Ironically enough, that one wasn't in the flood zone, which is, another issue going forward that the county has to deal with, really, is that flood maps change constantly. North Topsail Island Booster Pumping Station is the next project. So this is just a blueprint looking down on that project. We had a groundbreaking last Friday, so we're excited to kick that project off. It's estimated to be completed in August of 2024. Cost of that one is $3.4 million. We have a local contractor working on that here from Jacksonville, Carolina Utilities, so we're excited about using a local contractor to complete that. Here's another shot of that one, just showing the aerial. The town hall is the structure down at the bottom of the picture there, and this will go right behind the town hall. So we're thankful for North Topsail Beach for allowing us to have that piece of land there to put this on. We will do the tie-in for this project first, so those lines that come out to the road there, that's where our water line exists, and we'll make that connection here in the next month or so to try to get ahead of the summer traffic. It's already picking up down there from what I understand. There will be another vault put in on the other connection. We have two connections to the island. This one here on the main bridge, and then we have one at the north end of the island. We will be putting a vault there to meter the flow coming over to the island and to put a check valve in to prevent this booster pump from pushing water just in a circle back across to the mainland. Any questions on North Topsail before we go on to the next one? Just pointing out here too, the timeline obviously gets us beyond the summer, which is where we see our biggest issue down at the island from water pressure concerns. But we continue to have our partnership with Surf City, so we're purchasing water through our interconnection with Surf City to supply water to about 1,000 of our customers on the Surf City end of the island. So that seems to have made an immediate relief when we did that, and we're going to continue to do that until this project comes online. At Summer House, we are doing some improvements to capacity there. Just as an update on that project, we are working with Kubota, who built the membranes for one of the Plurus plants that we purchased, and they're specialized in this MBR technology. We're doing away with the membranes that are there. They're just problematic and have caused us capacity issues over the years since owning that plant. It is expected to be done by September, October 2024. Matter of fact, that project we've already ordered the Kubota components, and they're in production, and they should be here in a matter of months. And then we'll be working on the site improvements to have those installed. This is the Swansboro wastewater treatment plant and Hubert water treatment plant. So what we've got in this project is what we call the Highway 24 Utility Corridor Project. So it's got a new wastewater force main to take the flows from Swansboro, tie them into our base interconnection at Piney Green. As you can see, that project is somewhere around 90% complete design. It's supposed to be going out to bid next month. The water is to be determined because we're waiting on the base to actually give us the easement that's required for the water line that's proposed for that project. Any questions about the Swansboro project? Moving on to the southeast service area, this is the wastewater force main and pump stations that will start in the Holly Ridge collection system, carry it to the Summer House collection system, and then further to the newly acquired Plurus plants in the Sneads Ferry, North Topsail area. So on this map, what you're looking at here is the proposed new force main that'll go from Summer House all the way to the North Topsail plant. It's roughly 6 miles. So we're still in design, obviously, for that because it's a new project. But the first phase of that is not a new project. We were actually already working on improvements in Holly Ridge that would have brought it to the Summer House area and then north into the spray fields where the new plant was going to be at. So we can start with that in the project since it's near complete in design, and then we would take it from there to the new plant. As a reminder, that's where we will be spending some of the funding or all of the funding that we've received during the budget that we were fortunate to get the earmark that the legislators helped us with for the southeast sewer.
Just a quick question. You will present to us how we're going to pay for this stuff in our budget process, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Some of these are already in the CIP as plug numbers, but we will update those obviously once bids come in to see how we were. Dixon Water Treatment Plant Facility. So you've heard me talk about how the production demand has increased quite steadily at the Dixon service area. We've seen 2 years in a row where we've had double-digit demand increases, probably more than that if you go back further, but the last 2 years was 11% and 12% respectively. So we're working to expand that plant from a 4 MGD plant to a 6 MGD plant. Part of that will be additional raw water wells that we've talked about at the Wachovia site, and we're also looking at some closer to the plant. And that concludes the capital project update. Any other questions?
You got the next one too.
I
Water
sure do.
System Master Planning Project.
I don't think I have any slides for this one, so we're going to discuss what we got here in front of you, the Water System Master Plan Project. We bid this out a few months back, and we did some interviews a couple weeks ago with the top two firms that we identified. And what we're recommending to the board tonight is to proceed with Hazen and Sawyer to conduct our water system master plan and water model going forward. They, as I've mentioned in my update to the board, they have done over 20 of these across the state, and they're sort of the go-to for water modeling for a lot of the larger systems, so they come highly recommended. We were pretty impressed with the interview process. And just as a reminder as well, this will be funded through one of the state grants we got a couple years ago. So my recommendation is to proceed with the firm that we selected.
All right, so I need a motion to proceed with execution.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have a discussion? Anybody? Any questions?
Just real quick question. You're working with Carter, the county, on the master plan and stuff like that, with all the stuff we've got going on, I'm assuming you guys are working together?
We do work together.
And that's gonna come out in the next couple of months, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we will likely include some of them in this plan process as well, just so
That's what I
it
was
sort of
asking.
overlaps.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and we come to public comment.
No, Mr. Chairman, we have
You
one
got your
other
consent.
business item.
Or addition.
Oh, whoa, whoa, yep, you're right, sorry about that. That's what happens when you mess up the agenda. All right, and now we got to discuss the JOED agreement. Okay,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
yes,
this is an option to purchase property owned by ONWASA. If you'll recall, JOED had come to us earlier about the property adjacent to Camp Davis. The board had granted them an option to purchase that property. They have now come back and want to purchase more property, or additional property that is also adjacent to the original property they got the option for. As we did with the prior property, we are taking out the water wells that we have on that property so that it will not be conveyed. It is a similar option that you had before. You had most of this discussed with you at your work session. The one thing that has changed, there was a request by the town of Holly Ridge to require that JOED ask for annexation prior to the exercise of the option so that they would be included inside the town limits, the construction would be. I have put in this option to purchase. I've added a condition precedent, which means they have to do it before it becomes, the option becomes effective, that they shall petition the town of Holly Ridge for annexation of the property into the town limits. That's up to the board if you want to honor that request by Holly Ridge, but I have put it in there if you did. That was not in the original option that JOED has seen. Therefore, I tried to get in touch with the attorney today. She was not available. So as far as I know, that has not been officially agreed to by them. Is that right?
That's
Right,
true.
that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay.
So it comes down to, we had a lengthy discussion in a workshop about an agreement that everybody kind of agreed to, and we've had a last-minute request for a change from the town of Holly Ridge. We've prepared both of those documents, and this board needs to decide, are we gonna vote on the original agreement, or are we gonna vote on the amended agreement that would that would require JOED to request annexation from the town of Holly Ridge in their agreement. So
Chairman, I'm gonna make a recommendation so that we can have some discussion, if somebody will second it. I make a motion that we approve the original non-annexation portion of purchase option.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second, and let's, do we have any discussion?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask, phase one, was this language in phase one
No, it was
documentation?
not.
And
What we had in phase one, if you'll recall, this was kind of different, was that we agreed to deed over to Holly Ridge a right-of-way for a road going through our property. That was how Holly Ridge was involved in the first option. But that was the only thing. What did not require annexation. The second one, Holly Ridge is requesting that they have to be annexed or petition for annexation. The actual annexation wouldn't take place probably till sometime after that, before they could exercise the option.
Can I follow up on it's not a requirement that this be in an incorporated area for them to develop it, correct?
That's correct.
So we don't know what the development company's gonna say in terms, if you add conditions on there, I have no idea, I think that's your point, of what that means to somebody coming in development. Because what if they say, oh, if I do that, now I don't wanna be in there because I don't wanna be part of Holly Ridge? I have no idea, and I'm just saying, I have no idea how that impacts, I mean, obviously.
It was my understanding, yeah, it was my understanding that, I believe, and I will defer to Frankie on this, that Joe Ed had indicated they were going to ask for annexation, but I will defer to
That's
you
what
on that.
Mark had told me. They would prefer working with the town since they're right there than to have to go, say, to the county for, say, planning and zoning issues, because the town is doing pretty well at that in their phase one project. So, but that's, what Mark is telling me.
And the point I was trying to make is let that be their decision.
Correct.
Let's don't us force that decision on they're a separate board, a separate entity. And if they so choose to do so in the future, then that's up to them. I just don't think that we need to be bringing in another condition on this.
I agree.
especially since we've already pre-discussed this with both parties. I mean, I feel like if we should have done this sooner, maybe. That's right.
Yep, I don't know why this came up at the last minute particularly. I do know that I've had discussions with Mark Sutherland, and that Joe Ed totally intends to work with the town. They need the town to get the grant money that they need to finance the infrastructure. So they need to be able to work with the town. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to look at Holly Ridge's position on this, and I'm sure that they're looking from the standpoint of annexation would bring in the tax revenues associated with that, and that development may cause, and probably will cause, some expansion of municipal services, and they're looking out for themselves in terms of having the revenue available to cope with that expansion. I'd say, I'll argue the other side, that the annexation agreement should be part of it.
Okay. Do we have any other comments? I guess we'll vote on it.
Just for clarity, it's to adopt it without the condition. That's
Right,
what
the
your
motion is to adopt the original purchase agreement that we talked about in our workshop without the annexation requirement.
Especially since we've not had any official discussion with Joe Ed and where they've agreed. I just can't at this point. I would not be willing to do that.
Okay.
Even though I agree with what, some of the Jerry's, I think it's going to be in their best interest to ask for it, but let that be up to them. They're the purchaser, not, we're just selling the property. I hate to put a condition on that doesn't affect us.
Okay. All right, so there's no more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, one opposition. All right.
Now.
Now, I think, can we get to public comment now? We're in the right place. Okay, public comment. Yes, ma'am.
The first public speaker signed up tonight is Tim Parker.
Thank you, gentlemen, for trying to help some of the problems that we've had. I have a question to start with. Are we going on the base rate? I have 5 multimeters. 4 of them are 3/4 and the other one is 1.5. Are we using the base rate for everything off of a 3/4? That would be a, you know what I'm saying? That's the
It's
first question.
whatever meter serves the property.
Yes, so my 1.5 is gonna be 3/4 plus usage on that 1.5?
No, it's gonna be
Be 1.5 on the base rate?
1.5 base rate.
And then all the other. I mean, then the tiered system.
Right,
Okay.
based on your usage, yeah.
Okay. All right,
And I've got some scenarios that I can talk to you one-on-one to see exactly what it means
going
for
on
you.
with it?
That's right.
okay, because I know I've got that 1.5, the rest of them are 3/4. I think a lot of people have 3/4,
Right.
but I happen to have 1.5 on mine. A lot of times I love to put a regular meter to each one of my units, but it has become unaffordable to even think about doing that. Now I'm hearing this week that it's now $4,600 to have a meter. I've heard that number after all the things that has to be done.
The
I had a
tap.
lady tell me that's $4,600 after everything's done. Guys, y'all gonna make it where a common person cannot even begin to make it where we can't even have water. It's gone so high that it's almost like, I understand things go up, I understand we have to have drinking water, I do. But we cannot continue as a society to continue to charge this kind of money to what's going on. There's got to be some kind of solution here. I'm gonna go back to Onslow County Water. Years ago, I know my dad, when he put meter where my house was, it was what, $5 a month, I think it was, or $50 or whatever it was. I know that's not a realize that's not a realistic society that we can live in. But at the same time, you're pricing everybody out of something that we have to have, you know what I'm saying? So I just like to ask to continue to maybe try to think of ways we can keep the cost down as a board. Some of the rates that are going up more and more, I think, you know, if we got it where we almost can't even afford to even have water, but it's a necessity. If you'd ask my wife, she would tell you, I hate water because it causes so much damage. But at the same time, we have to have it to survive. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for trying to help us with this problem. And maybe you won't have to see me no more.
You're welcome anytime.
Mr. Chairman, our next speaker is Mr. Johnny Boynes.
Well, I got 3 minutes posted in front of me, so I'm gonna make this quick and sweet, and I hope we can work it out. First of all, I'd like to thank every board member that has been called and been talked to about the situation with the meters. I've put it in more meters and everything. I have spoke to your CO. I have talked with him. And I'd like to ask him if he'd join me up here to speak to you about what he's telling me and what I'm hearing and what y'all have worked very hard to try to get solved. And I believe after each one of us hear what the CO has got to say to us, I believe we can come to an agreement and show Onslow County that board members, community can work together and get things accomplished. And you board members have worked very hard. You say you've had workshops, and I believe that. And after talking to your CO, what he had to tell me, I think I'll be happy. And I think my other people that's with me will be very happy with that. But I would like for y'all to hear it from him. And if you don't mind, would you join us?
Yeah, man. If you don't mind.
You can have my minute and a half.
I was going to address it some in my comments to the board, but I appreciate you, the kind words. So we have talked ahead of this, and he called me earlier today or yesterday, and we talked. And as I mentioned, the chairman and I have had several meetings on this after the workshop to try to figure out what the best approach would be to be the fairest to the folks that are involved. So I think we found that solution, and that's what we're going to present during the budget.
Okay, all right.
And I do have everybody's individual impact, so like I mentioned to Mr. Parker, I can look at that with you all to show you what you're going to be looking at.
Okay,
So, thank you.
so you don't think we're looking at no meter raises for each unit?
Right, there won't be a necessary need for metering each unit.
Right, no, so it'd be per gallon.
It'll be based on the gallon, that's right.
Thank you. Thank you. Tim, thanks. Yes, sir. Brent, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, our next speaker and last speaker is Charles Ferris.
Good evening. I wasn't sure if I needed to sign up when I came in or not. I do appreciate all y'all's work and in the dealing with the multimeter situation. Sometimes it's hard to maybe make an adjustment like that when it was put out so public, but I applaud you for changing your mind and kind of going another route with it. I'm not sure that the solution that was presented is going to save everybody money, but the ones that use lower volumes, it'll make a difference there. So I appreciate it.
All right. Mr. Howard, it's your turn to comment.
Yes.
If you have anything else to say.
Yeah, I got a couple of things, if you don't mind, and I know we're pushing past the hour. So just to follow up on the rate discussion, I made a note here to mention it during my comment, but looking at the history of our water tap fee and system development fee, it actually has gone down from where it was in like 2010. It was like $3,600 for just a system development fee. Then it got down to about $2,000 for the last 5-year study. But just to remind the board, we do have to review that every 5 years. And so what we're in now is a result of the 5-year study. I will be presenting something to the board that may actually have to bring that down based on some legislation that occurred during this past state legislation. I don't think it'll get it below where it's been at before, like the last 5 years, but I just want to point that out. And then on the other side of this same chart is what we're looking at on our usage rates. We went for a period of like 10 years, maybe more, that we didn't have any rate increases. And that snowballed, if you will, based on now we have these big projects we're up against. So that's why we've had to do a rate study on the actual usage rates. So we're in the middle of that as well. So just want to put out that little bit of history. On my notes, a couple of things before we move on. As I did want to personally thank the media services here at the City of Jacksonville for not only the work they do to make these meetings look very professional and great to our listening public and our users, but they came out and did the groundbreaking recording, and I shared that with the board. Top-notch product that came out of that. So the city has a great team, and I've shared that with the city manager as well. So, and I think the clerk brought them some nice little gifts here earlier today. So we're happy for that partnership. And now that I know what their skill set is on those outside functions, we may partner with them even more to do some promotional things for ONWASA. So just another little tidbit of information. March, this makes 2 years for me at ONWASA. Believe it or not, time flies. So March is 2 years. Can you believe that? Whew. Time does fly. So I'm happy to be here supporting the group, and I've got a great team that helps me on a daily basis. So glad to be here. Update on the timber sales. I think I put this in the board update, but I wanted to share it to the listening audience as well. So far, the past 2 years, we've been under a timber management plan with Pine State Forestry to look at the 1,700 acres that we have in timber, and we've generated, I want to say, a little bit over $800,000 in timber sales just across 500 acres that we've got under contract right now. And before those contracts are up, we're estimating it'd be about $1.2 million in revenue. So that's alternative revenue that we can help offset some of these expenses that we do have that are constantly going up. Speaking of the budget process is underway. We've gone through our first round of budget meetings with our department heads, and so we're going to fine tune what we've been presented, go one more round with the department heads and present the result of that to the board in your May meeting, and then we'll have a June public hearing for adoption. So sometime between May and June, we'll be working with the board to fine tune the budget. And that is all my notes I have for tonight, so unless you got some questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, you have any comments?
Absolutely. Well, first, certainly to the public, and apologies, I'm going to get better at writing my names down quicker. But thank you guys for recognizing the efforts that the folks have made. But I want to redirect that. I realize that all of these guys really stood up for you guys. Definitely want to acknowledge that. But the staff and Mr. Howard, they had to go back and really do the hard work and sharpen the pencils for us. And so they really deserve a lot of that credit. And so I just want to say thank you to Mr. Howard and the staff for doing that so that we could do that for you guys. Because I think it was important unanimously across here that we attack this problem and attack it aggressively. And finally, Mr. Howard, you and I talked on the phone today about the budget. I may be the only one up here, so this may be a personal tutoring session if necessary, but I would love for us to have a budget workshop where the budget's presented and we have an opportunity to ask questions and digest it a little bit more. That would be my personal request.
We can do that.
Okay, Rick?
Second a lot of the comments that he made without repeating them. And I know that Frankie's looking out for the money and stuff because at the ribbon cutting down at the thing, I thought I was going to get one of those shovels. But apparently we reuse those shovels.
We do.
But no, everybody, thank you. And also,
somewhere.
on behalf of North Topsail,
Yes.
thank you for making sure that the water was going to come from Surf City because, as you know, we had a real issue last year. And thank you all for coming and thank you for your comments.
Gold spray paint's expensive. We can't.
They are.
Mr. Williams?
Are you going to save him for last?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, just ditto the comments, and thank you all for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. We do try to listen. It's not always an easy decision. Sometimes we do have to make some tough decisions. Well, we always have to make tough decisions, seems like, but we want to help the citizens of Onslow County as best we can, and that's every one of us up here, even though we're all representing different parts of the county, we all have a love for Onslow County, and we want our citizens to be prosperous and healthy and happy. So thank you for coming out and showing interest in your problems, and we do try to listen.
I think this is the, right back to Timmy and Charles and Johnny, this is boards in your local community are the ones that make decisions that impact you daily. They can make all the decisions in Washington and in Raleigh, but it's the local boards that make a decision where you get to come and speak. I know Bob mentioned all different parts of the county, but I'll mention they all three live in my neighborhoods. So so I'm glad we're able to help those guys. I've known them a long time, so they know where the house is. And but I was glad we're able to come to a means of helping those gentlemen out, and we'll see what it turns out to be. But I think this is a perfect example of coming to a meeting, sharing your concerns, doing it in the manner in which you did it, and this board listened and come back with the staff and everybody to really work and see what we could do. That everybody could walk away with it. Like we did what we needed to do to support the citizens. So other than that, have a great evening.
Mr. Bittner?
No report.
No report. Mr. Vice Chair?
I can say with all certainty that when we sit up here and this board, the time I spent with these guys and past members, I mean,
we listen. You might not think that we listen all the time, but we listen and we take it to heart. And some things are outside of our control and some things we grapple with. I wish it was very easy decisions, and they're not, especially when you're faced with some of the things that we see come across our desks and the prices of what it costs to get water out of the ground, what it costs to treat that water, what it costs to get it to the house. And then the waste side of it, it's
Messy.
it's a clean business on one side of the house and it's real dirty on the other. But I do appreciate y'all coming in and taking your time out. When y'all got families at home, you don't need to be here tonight, but we appreciate you coming out and talking to us. And just thank you. And staff, same thing. Y'all got families to get home too. And my neighbor rode with me tonight, and that dude's gonna grumble for being hungry all the way home. So thank y'all very much.
Okay. And I would just, I don't want to repeat everything that's been said, but I agree with them. I thank you guys for coming to hear your opinion. I thank Frankie and Heather for the groundbreaking at North Topsail Beach. That was a very successful event. I think it was a great opportunity for us to show that we're growing and we're doing what we can to provide the service all over the county, but this particular incident, North Topsail Beach, and we'll continue to work to provide clean water and sewer service where we can across Onslow County. So with that all being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
In a second. All in favor, aye. Aye. We're adjourned.